the
Summerland KIDS.
wilderness
I'm
is
Jericho Morgan.
Jericho.
Yeah, man, look at the sun. That's that California light behind me. Yeah. So I can tell because I'm
Yeah.
actually almost in Summerland. It might be foggy in Summerland, but I'm on the top of the mountain, so it's clear up here and sunny in the morning, you know?
Nice. You up on the
Yeah.
pass then?
Yeah, I'm up on the pass. I'm up on Stagecoach Road, right on the 154. Yeah. So yeah,
Nice.
it's beautiful up here, man. It's just the fresh air, man. It's the mountains, it's the fresh air. I mean, it's a lot like Colorado, but it's like, I don't know, it's a little crisper and cleaner out here, it feels like, almost, even though California's a little, you know, polluted, but
Well, you got to remember, Jericho, that ocean ionizes the air.
oh wow. Oh my God, I didn't think of that. That's amazing.
You're getting all that ionization,
Right? Yeah, yeah, totally, man.
electro energy. Uh-oh.
Yeah,
I'll be right
exactly.
back. Girlfriend said don't go live without my teeth.
Okay. Yeah, so
I'm still here. But.
yeah, I'm on a trip right now out to California. So I'm actually in California. I'm picking up my dad today. Gonna meet my dad. He's 82 now. He was born in 1941. He's the son of Bill Wagon Sr., which is actually funny because Bill Wagon, my grandfather, was actually a junior. I was saying my grandfather was actually a junior. So my dad's like junior, and but to me, I guess in the line of men, you have to be something about the exact name to be like, oh, I'm Hank Williams the third. You know, well, your name has to be exactly the same to be like that, to get that approval of the third or something. So
you
anyway,
could be Hank Williams Jr. the third.
I know,
If
right?
you're
Yeah.
Hank Williams Jr. and Hank Williams Jr. named you Hank Williams Jr.
Exactly. So
would that be the second?
well, I'm actually, well, I might be the fourth because William Wagon, my grandfather, I believe, was named after his grandfather, and then my dad, of course, is William Wagon. And then when I was in the hospital, barely born, whatever, they decided, oh, we got to give Jericho the William Jericho Lamar Wagon. So I'm technically William Wagon, just like my dad's William Wagon, just like his father was William Wagon, just like his father was William Wagon. So just like
oh, goodness.
on and on.
You know what I did? See, I was my dad's name is Thomas. My name is Aaron Thomas. So I named my son Thomas Aaron.
Oh, that's cool. That's a great idea. That's awesome.
Yeah. I gotta switch it up. Just like I got this is killing me, Jericho. I got a single Wisner going. I don't know if you know how to do wins or not.
I'm not sure. I don't even know what I'm tying, but I know I'm tying something like that. But I think it might be the simplest of the ties that I'm doing as far as the application or the knotting aspect of it all. You know,
we'll have to do a thing. I learned how to do just the regular bow or the regular, just wrap it and tuck it.
Yeah.
And then you do the Windsor, which is a once over wrap and tuck. And then you do the double Windsor, which is a once over and then a wrap and tuck.
Oh, sweet.
So anyway, the double Windsor makes it really kind of big, you know?
Okay. Nice.
And then just the double loop makes it really thin. I like the Windsor because it gives it that kind of triangular shape.
Yeah, I think that must be what I'm doing. It looks very similar to what that is. Yeah. Yeah. So I did get some ties. Thankfully, I hunted down some ties and I got like, I think I might have got a dozen black. I got 12 blacks and then I mixed it up and I know I got like 6 reds, but I got three like one kind of red, 3 another kind of red. And then I got probably a blue and a pink and a couple other ones. So basically got 24 ties. So that's what.
Do you commission them?
Well, I would consider a commission for sure.
Because I have this idea, it being, I do this thing, America, I may look like a hippie and I may actually be a hippie. Don't tell anyone, and I've really just kind of embraced my freedom.
Right.
I've never been to war. My grandfather was in the Navy, but I'm peace. No, I preach nonviolence and stuff, but I do love my freedom of America, so maybe, red, white, and blue.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea, bro.
I could rocket on America and maybe go get like some old school military, just the zigzags.
Yeah,
None of this fancy stuff,
right.
just, zigzags.
Yeah,
You
just
know
the
what I'm talking about, the old
no,
military kinda
totally.
style.
I get what you're saying. I think that's a great idea. Because I could do just like I did your reggae inspired tie, your red, gold, and green. I could do the same effect, red, white, and blue on blue, or a red, white, and blue on
You
red.
could do, like, red and white on blue,
Yeah,
or blue and
it's
white on red,
no,
or red
that's
and blue
genius,
on
bro.
white,
No, that's a great concept. I'll have to,
and then with the zigzaggy stripes, military, I think a lot of military people would recognize, "Hey, that's a military Jeep track."
for
And just,
sure.
I mean, to be honest, Jericho, I've done, we call it Made in the Shade,
Mm,
and we sold hats and sunglasses, basically.
okay,
And one of
cool.
our biggest things was, military events and military hats. My partner back then was, military, retired.
Mhm.
So, like, just, I mean, as far as, like, prolific art is one thing, but profitable sales is another.
I know exactly. No, there's that. I always
The
think of
market's there. Everybody loves 4th of July, Labor Day, Memorial Day. We just got back from there.
from
And
Memorial
so,
Day.
just an idea. You know how artists collaborate, communicate.
No, I think it's great, man. I think I've always thought of the ties as like it's an affordable item it's a novelty, which is fun, like the old novelty necktie, like the like in I think in Zoolander, Will Ferrell, his early beginnings before he was Mustafa, the evil fashion lord.
I remember that. Yes.
He had the novelty necktie, which is the piano key necktie. So the old in the 80s when you had a tie to look like the piano keys.
Well, it's more than just a novelty,
I know.
too,
Well, it's
Jericho. I mean, it's for me, it's almost a necessity to
oh for
keep the hair
sure.
out of my face.
No, I believe
But
you.
there's something, even when I chose this tie to wear today, knowing that you have worn it, and
Yeah.
it was just like a feeling, an energy. You've heard of power ties, right? You
No,
wear your
definitely.
power tie,
Yeah,
and
it's
it
got
helps
that.
you stand out and show your personal style. Like
Yeah,
you're saying with the piano keys, or maybe you got a trumpet or a guitar, but this is your tie, this is your energy, and it represents you in the corporate America. The
right.
white shirt. You can only do so much with your hair and your hat, but the tie.
Exactly.
If everyone's wearing the same haircut, the same tie, same shirt,
Yeah.
because you're
No,
professional in an industry, the tie.
I know the tie's like the only
Love it,
thing you
dog.
got to like to nail down a little bit of being different, dare to be different style, So and it's a little like rebellious and a little bit like street culture pulling, because the pieces that the tires that I find often are discarded on the side of the road. I'm going to seek out some really vintage treads and vintage tires to work with. Like I
Yeah, and
thought
that,
of
that was kind
before.
of a thought too. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you're going the length of the tie,
Uh huh.
but me, I'm always trying. What if you went like across the tie or a diagonal,
No, you could,
where those
and
threads are like, I don't
yeah.
know.
No, I know. No, I did one time. I did a cross up, but I wasn't super fond of it. But I did experiment a little bit with that. But you're right. I mean, there's a lot of experimentation still to unfold. And I thought of, like, of course, Steve McQueen in that movie Bullet, where he's driving that old. I think it's a Mustang for sure. It's a Mustang, but it might be a what's called a fastback Mustang. Anyways, nonetheless, it'd be great to seek out what tires he rode in that movie. So they can sync up with some classic film scenes to incorporate the exact tire, the exact print of the tire used in this film. So there's a lot of kind of fun synchronicities that you can kind of pull out with the using different tires.
Yeah, yeah. Wow,
Yeah,
that's really if you can find some good old tires, yeah.
I know for sure that have the I mean, even if it was something like, if you were a race car driver, for example, it'd be like, I mean, maybe it would have to be a certain, because I know they use slicks a lot, but whatever tires that so and so rode, or if you can get like a tire that says, like, from a person like a race car driver, like, oh, Daryl Earnhardt gave me this tire, and now I'm using this tire to print the ties or something like that.
Well, I could imagine those tires for the racing, they're extra soft,
I
right?
know, right?
They
Yeah.
gotta have grip, and there's gotta be some kinda grooves in them, even though they're technically slick tires,
Some of
but
them
there's
are
still
slick.
gravel and road that'll, give it that grit and
I
that
know there's got to be something
life
there.
that
Yeah.
that who knows, you might come up with something just amazing.
I know, right?
It's just like, wow, how did that little thing get in there? Well, I guess Dale Earnhardt knows how to drive and does all
Yeah,
kinds
right.
of things. Uh,
Exactly. Yeah. So we're
man.
so we're
So
leaving.
how's the trip going, Jericho?
It's going good. It's going good. Yesterday we went down to the San Ynez River and checked that out, and there was an incredible blue heron, and we looked up how long they live, and the blue heron can live up to 20 years, and sometimes they partner up, but sometimes they prefer a solitary lifestyle of just fishing, and they're territorial, I guess. My friend said he saw that same bird there years ago. So that same bird has been in that little valley, that little river valley, and they hang out right by the little headwaters and wait for the fish and stuff to pass by them, and they're just basically fishing.
So
That's
like
their
if a
life.
fisherman were to reincarnate, they may reincarnate into a heron. They got
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
there's spots they go. All they want
Yeah,
to do is go hang out alone in nature and
at
fish.
their
So
at their favorite fishing spot. Yeah, exactly. So that was
sweet.
cool seeing him, and the weather was nice. We got there like at noon to the San Ynez River and hung out till about 3 or so. And the water's running good. I mean, it seems really fresh and clean because we had a lot of rain this year, I think, in California. So it's coming off. What is that Mono Dam or Gibraltar Dam? That feeds that San Ynez River. So
Yeah, we've got lots of rain this year. Orville Dam, where I'm at,
right,
full. Um, Tahoe, they're saying it's expected to be full. Um,
for
we
sure.
got lots of water, and it's been a while, and I don't know how these solar flares and stuff that everyone's talking about, or global warming or whatever they're talking about, but climate change is inevitable. We're a dynamic planet. There's
Yeah,
been many changes in our climate.
for sure. Yeah, so Santa Barbara's it I know we've gone through things here in Santa Barbara where the drought, and they're like, "Oh, it's going to take this many years to get back to where we need to be." And then all of a sudden we get so much rain over one season that it actually fills Kachuma Lake and all the reservoirs, and they're like, "Oh my god, we're back." For at least a moment where we think we're like okay in terms of like water storage, but we could always use more rain in California just to keep it like some sort of. I think it's actually filling up the aquifers, underground water that's maybe taken in the last 100 years. Maybe we've been in a down cycle of drought ever since we were born. I think maybe it's been a cycle of which is a little bit on the drier side than normal, but it's
I think that like there's different cycles. They got the longer cycles, but I know that like the El Nino cycle,
uh
that's like a 3 to 8 year cycle or something like that. I could be wrong, but then there's some years where it's an El Nino and then a La Nina the
mm,
next year. So you get the brother and the sister year back to back. And
right.
I think that's a little less frequent than the El Nino. But
Hmm.
I do remember as a kid, having some summers were like this year we got snow up in the mountains in May.
Oh
And I
wow.
remember a few years back, maybe 10 or 15 years back, maybe even 20 years back, where it was just kind of the same thing. We got snow up in the mountains in May. And so yeah, we just ride the wave. Sometimes
Yeah,
there's
right
sets,
away. I mean, that's
sometimes
what.
there's sets, sometimes there's a northwest swell.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't. We went to the beach yesterday for a brief moment down there on the PCH. Like when you come from Ventura to Santa Barbara, there's a little turnoff where you can catch the beach, and then there's a bunch of RVs camping down there.
Hmm.
And they've done a lot of work down there, and improving the lots where the RVs park and stuff along the beach. So there is cool beachside camping down there. And then as you come up the coast, the 101 freeway is still being worked on, which is wild. All through Montecito. I think Summerland's pretty done in terms of the freeway construction. They finished that, I believe, but in Montecito now it's the final stretch because I think they had a lot of holdouts, in the neighborhood groups or people that were opposed to the widening of the freeway. Um, and to me, it really wasn't. I mean, sure, yes, it is a
Hmm.
widening, but it's like they're working within the parameters of an existing roadway or something. It's not. They weren't really pushing it outward. Maybe they propose.
Yeah, I was looking at one of those ones that you shared where it's just, boardwalk pretty much the
Right.
whole way. The
Yeah.
boardwalk, for that part. We're
Yeah.
at that time here,
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
15 minutes, brought
Yeah.
to
We're
you
gonna do
by
it.
our listeners, our watchers,
Yeah.
our fans,
Exactly. Yeah. No.
something
Totally.
like
Yeah.
that.
Thank you guys.
But that's wild. I bet it was packed down there because that's Memorial Day weekend. I bet that
You know. So,
campground. I think there's a campground at the end, and then the whole beach you're allowed
exactly.
to camp on.
Well, you know,
I bet it was.
there was a few folks down there, I think leftovers, and you can see they're in interesting little clusters where you feel like these people camp together intentionally. Like there'll be like a row of like 10, and they look like they're totally broing out. Like these people know each other. They form a little community of like 10 RVs, and they just, I'm sure they love it because once a year they look forward to their vacation with their family and friends, and then they meet their other friends who they met last year, so there's real camaraderie there, which is awesome. And so Santa Barbara.
Well, yeah, you see that
Okay.
yeah, at Napomo, where like whole families and extended families and friends of family, and they all bring their campers, and in Napomo, their
Right.
ATVs, off road vehicles, and they'll circle up.
Oh,
They'll
sweet.
circle up
That's
a
yeah,
big
that's a great way to
campground.
go.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they do that
awesome.
at Burning Man too. Just to form like a wind barrier, or just a little community. Like, hey, you know, we're the Red Boys or whatever the name is of the group of the camp, and they form
Hmm.
a little group, and it does make for a unique experience when you're going into someone else's camp, and I think it goes back to the old like tribal days where it's like, hey, do you mind? I'm a guest. Can I come in? Like to get to share. And like you mentioned before, like
Yeah.
real true neighborhood slash neighborly vibes is actually good vibes between neighbors. Like, hey, do you guys have an extra egg, or can I have some I get the margarita mix. I don't have any tequila. Do you have some? Like, what? Like, let's commingle here and let's be neighbors and let's have fun, type of thing. So
Yeah, yeah. In Native American tradition, maybe they might have smoked
exactly.
on the peace pipe. This part of the
Yeah.
show is brought to you by fire. It's been around for a long
For
time.
sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
And if you can't smoke the peace pipe with the native chief, then I guess you don't chill and hang out and talk. But sometimes people are real friendly, and they like you're saying, they share their abundance. Maybe they're just like, hey, this is fun. Join our party or join our barbecue. I've really had some of the best food I've ever eaten was just some random group of people partying or barbecuing on the beach saying, oh, yeah,
Yeah. We
come
brought too
and
much
join
food.
us and
Yeah,
have the
exactly.
best
And that
time.
that saved
Best
when
food.
I was out at Burning Man 2003. I talked to a friend of mine, Tuan, yesterday, and he was like a regional organizer for the Burning Man decompression parties and stuff like that. And I thought that we were bringing a decent amount of food, but it turns out we made the wrong choices. It was Bomber and I, and he got a bunch of seaweed and just a bunch of weird health food. And then so we ended up being like, oh, dude, we're starving. So someone else at another camp, thankfully, their name was Food Lab. So their whole camp was all based on food and making good food for friends. So that really saved us at Burning Man. Shout out to Food Lab if you guys still exist.
Now, isn't it kind of expensive to I mean, even just to make a trip out there and say you're
Yeah.
not doing installation or you're not doing an art thing, and you don't have a group of people but just say you and your friend want to go. It's like the tickets
No,
aren't
they're not free.
free, and the travel and away from work,
Yeah.
it's like a
No, for
week long
sure.
journey. By the time it's all said and done to get there and celebrate the 3 days and
Yeah.
burn the straw man, I guess there's some significance in the Burning Man itself and the structure. They build a big structure and then to burn it down at the end. I guess the night they
Yeah, the
burn the
Burning Man,
straw
they
man or
build them every
something.
year, a different model. So someone is like sort of like given the opportunity to be the artist to build the man. And it might, I don't, I know there's an artist, I believe his name is David Best, and he usually builds the temple, they say. So the man burns on Saturday night and they burn the temple on Sunday night, which has that significance. And people oftentimes bring memorial of like mini memorials to the temple to have it burn with the temple burn. And then the cost, it's probably, I want to say, hovering above $400 a ticket, at least. And then you do have to be self-sufficient and bring all your own food, all your own water, all your own everything with you. And then also you want to bring stuff to give away, like for the gift economy, because there's no commerce out there. I think when I was there, the only thing you could get was coffee and ice was the only purchasable item. So, you have to come ready to survive off the land yourself with what you bring. And then, of course, that's where the neighborly thing comes in. If you have an abundance of one thing and your neighbor has an abundance of another, but you can cross over that direction, and it makes for good friendships and good bonds. And that's the coolest thing about it. When you come away from Burning Man, you come back to your own world, and your mind is a little shifted because you realize, man, I was actually in a perfect community. This is what a perfect community should work like, ideally. So you can bring that home with you. And
Mm-hmm.
then the decompression party is something that happens after Burning Man, which people are been home for a month or something, but it's a good opportunity to gather after the event and reconnect with friends that you met out there. They actually have a Burning Man relationship guide for folks that go out there with their significant other, because you oftentimes may find that your significant other is someone you didn't even know. Because once you're
Sometimes you find yourself as
exactly,
someone
you're
you
like, hey, I
didn't
didn't
even
know
know,
you.
Jericho.
Yeah,
That made me think, because you were saying when you got out there, you were like, "Hey, these are my people," but then you're saying, "Yeah, okay,"
for
because it
sure.
can change
Oh yeah,
people, and I was wondering, like you were saying, you personally felt like, oh, this is where I should be. So you didn't really have to
right.
change to fit in, but at the same time, the experience, the doing the installation, being a part of such an amazing thing, I'm sure you did change. So,
Yeah.
tell me, Jericho, how do you think you changed for the good or bad or
Well,
indifferent from that experience?
because of the
I'm
opportunity that
curious.
it provided me to take my work and have to, overcome the challenges of the environment, like because you're putting your work out in the desert, and my work ended up being like a sail, because it was 12 canvases and it was a long distance of canvas, and I put it up across the desert, and I put up like 12 wood posts and all the ropes that hold the posts down. So essentially, like erecting a wall. So I erected a wall in the middle of the desert on the playa, they call it, and that was like a sail out there. So I had to overcome fears of a failure, because when you're watching your own thing almost blow down, because the winds are maybe 15, 20 miles an hour, whatever they were, but it was like literally blowing it. So I had to make, a conscious decision. Do I take it down or do I leave it up? So do I I'm facing failure in the looking at it going, is it gonna break, essentially? But thankfully it didn't break, and I didn't take it down. So I left it, I let it go. So there's in terms of like understanding your own fears, coming to terms with your fears, and then overcoming your fears, and persevering through something. That was a big experience for me. And then when it's all said and done, when you overcame your fears and you conquered and persevered and succeeded, then when you go back to the real world, you bring that with you, and essentially you feel like I can accomplish anything, or at least I it's a little shift in your mind to be a little more strength from within coming from it. So yeah,
No, I could imagine, here you are canvas, a big 12-foot canvas. Don't they make sails
yeah,
for
exactly.
sailboats out of canvas? And then here you are in the middle of the desert trying to okay, you're not trying to make your boat
Stay
move, you're
still.
trying to
Yeah,
make this thing
exactly.
stay still. And so you're fighting the elements in the middle of the desert with limited supplies, limited
Yeah,
resources, limited help. And the fact that, that's one of my favorites is like, oh,
yeah,
do I give up? Of course not. Let me blow up in catastrophe and a try rather than just go, I give up and no, no, no. So you're like taking the chance that this thing could have just blown away, and everyone would have said, "Oh,
Yeah,
look at
fail.
that guy's
Yeah.
thing blown away." But although Burning Man may not be so judgmental as far as like you're saying the ultimate, everyone probably would have
Yeah.
said, "Wow." But to take that risk and
No,
to
for sure.
face that, I just think that's got to be
Yeah.
something that's
And then
wow.
the
That's
acceptance that when someone else has
incredible.
to approve you. So prior to being accepted, you have to submit to be accepted. You know, essentially approved art installation. So that process too is like, okay, let me send someone this paper that I wrote with my own handwriting of how I'm going to do what I do. And here's some literally almost like napkin drawings of my proposal. Because at the time, and
No,
so from
that's
that,
too cool. I know that you gotta
yeah,
register the car
yep,
art
yep.
that people drive out there.
Pre-registered. You know, it's like the DMV. You got to
Um,
pre-register your art car. You have to pre-register your art if you want your art to be on the map. And that's another thing is like the pre-registration puts you on the map, and it probably puts you if you register an art car, then you get officially in the documentation of the event, which is cool because they produce a little pamphlet of the for the week. So they publish a book that has a map of the whole place, and then it has a map of where you are or where if you are an approved art installation, then you're in the book. So that's the coolest thing about it is like when you're able to get in the book. So that's a memory, and it's it's a substantial
yeah,
accomplishment.
that's
Well, always. No,
you can't
exactly. They
take
can't take
that
that away.
away.
And then once you're there, the photographers, just people that are out there, and some of them people, that's another approval process for people to be a, like an authorized photographer, if you will. So they then shoot pictures, and then they
Okay.
they they share their images, and then that helps you because from that experience, it put me as like almost like in the top five slash sometimes number one on Google under blacklight art because the person who named they wrote a title under their image that just said blacklight art at sunset. So from their blacklight art at sunset on Google and the power of the search engine, that ranked me super high up, and that got me in. That opened doors for me. So one thing leads to another, and you never expect it, but it's from the most random place coming from Burning Man. So
No, that's funny that's because I got a little pack of black light uh,
yeah,
color paint. I don't know what do you artists use to make stuff like that. I got some paints that are black light, and you seen the one painting I was working on. Um, that was actually just the I was gonna put some black
yeah, it's
light in there.
UV paint.
Um,
Ultraviolet reactive. Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool.
I
Yeah,
got
no, it
some.
doesn't take much, man.
I mean, I'm just dipping my toes in to that.
It's fun. It's a
I
fun
don't know.
experiment, especially if you.
Well, it's fun. Yeah, it's more of a meditative thing for me. It's not really. I'm not really trying to produce any art. I just kind of have an image that I'm just. You know, I don't even have any techniques I've learned or
Yeah,
anything.
no,
I
that's
just
that's
go on
cool.
freestyle.
That's
In fact,
amazing.
I don't want to learn any techniques. I don't want to give a predisposition to how I'm supposed to do any art, and so I'm just, and it to me it's meditative. Sometimes my friends look at me cross-eyed or side, what are you, what,
It doesn't
man?
make sense.
But
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't care. I'm just doing it because to me it's relaxing, it's enjoying, it takes away from the hectic life and the businesses I try and do, and it's just something that when it's quiet, when I have a chance to get all my materials together, like your
Yeah.
friend's Yuri's studio, how it is just he had everything there and he's just boom, he's plopped in the middle of everything where I feel like I'm always trying to run and gotta put it out of a box and then put it back in the box when I'm done. And I feel that whole process is
No, it
it's
is.
just appealing to me to say, oh, let's art. It's art time. Let's get the supplies out. Let's get everything out. Maybe one day I'll have a studio. Jericho, I'm so
I know.
sad.
Thanks,
It's
man,
that
for
time
making
again
another show happen.
of
You know, yeah,
of
rock and
30
roll. We're
minutes
coffee with the Summerland
coffee.
kids. I'm Jericho Og, and this is Aaron Riggs. And we bid you all adieu. We want to thank you for coming in today. And joining us for another episode of Coffee with the Summerland Kids. Have a great day.
Don't forget to
Exactly.
smash that like button, smash that subscribe,
Yeah.
click that follow, comment, like,
Thank you
share,
guys.
all
We
that
love
good
you.
stuff.
Have a great day.
Have an awesome